So it's the 40th anniversary of Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning, so I figured it would be a good time as any to do a commentary on this one, even though I've only done a commentary on Part 2 so far. Kind of bouncing all over the place with these. I've seen all 12 films in the franchise a million times. Basically, I have some of them memorized at this point, and hopefully if you're watching / listening to this, you've already seen it as well. Otherwise, nothing I say is going to make any sense. So, if you're going to watch it along with me, sync up your copy to 0 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds, and press play now. I'm watching a copy that is in the Friday the 13th Complete Collection box set, which is a Blu-ray set that was released sometime around 2013, I think. It's the one that's in the black metal case. And a lot of people were kind of disappointed in that set because there weren't any new special features. And it included just like a tiny little condensed version of the Crystal Lake Memories book with some quotes in it. And that was it. Oh, and a patch. The Scream Factory box set that was released in 2020 is considerably better and had a lot of new stuff. But I still dig this metal box set. And it was released around the same time as the Crystal Lake Memories documentary, and that was like 7 hours long, plus extra features on that. So I kind of feel like that makes up for the lack of new stuff in the metal set. Yeah, Corey Feldman coming back as Tommy for a couple minutes. I don't even think that he has any dialogue in this, except for maybe saying the word no. If I had to guess, this was a one-night shoot, this whole opening. And for the first time outside of The Hitchhiker in the fourth film, this is where we start having, this is the only time so far that we've had characters who we don't know anything about. We haven't really seen any interactions between them and other people. They don't have names, I'm pretty sure. If they do have names, we don't know them in the context of the movie until the end credits. And every film from here onward has a lot of filler characters like these that are often just nameless. And before this, the fourth film had the highest body count at 13, 14 if you count Jason, but in this one, it is a whopping 21, possibly 22, if we count Pam, which I do. Yes, Blu-ray copy looks gorgeous, but, this one has always looked really good. Even on the VHS that I first saw it on, which was, I think, the Gateway release from, 1996 or something like that, it still looked really good even then. Whereas some of the other films, there's, darkness or, fogginess to it. I like that, looking up at each other at the same time and then back down. Ah, I gotta love the worms. Oh, one. What even was that second weapon? That was kind of an odd weapon. Jason looks great here. I kind of wish we had gotten more of this. That's a great shot. The slow pull and ugh. Part 6 kind of recreated this sort of moment of somebody witnessing Jason kill someone else, and then Jason turns and kind of he notices who's watching him and goes after them. I love that you can't see his eyes at all. That blood probably would have been washed off by the rain by that point, but okay. Yeah, the look of that Jason in that scene was like, that was a really good transition from how he looked in the fourth one to how he looked in the sixth one. Like, the mask there is not quite part 4, not quite part 6. And I like that immediately sets the kind of sleazy tone, the porn mag. Oh right, this one has an explosion too. And we're gonna get to the explosion in a second, though it's different from how it was in part 2. There we go. I like how that bit of the mask turning and kind of like going onto the viewer's face is sort of hinting at somebody else being behind the mask this time. Okay, they listed most of the people that are in this. I counted 17 names. And there's something like 30 characters in this altogether. It has a huge cast. Like, even, like, 22 people die, but then there's actual dream slash hallucination Jason. And then there's the mayor and a couple of cops and a couple of other first responders, and then there's Tommy, and then there's Reggie, and yeah, there's a lot of people in this. And I like how that kept with the traditional black background, white text. I kind of wish that all 12 of the films had that, but whatever. At least we got it for the first 7. And even though he only says something like 21 words in this entire movie, I've always really dug his performance. And he's cute. The haircut's not cute, but he's cute. And there's Robin, one of my favorite characters. I've noticed that with these, very rarely is the final girl my number 1 favorite character. I don't dislike any of the final girls, but usually it's like a couple of the secondary characters I prefer. Like, usually, like, the BFF type character, or the motherly figure type character, like Mrs. Jarvis, Mrs. Shepherd, Diana, Vicky in part 2, and Ginny in part 2. Ginny's the only case, really, where The Final Girl is my number one favorite. In this film, my favorites are Robin, Jake, Violet, and then probably Pam. I've always gotten more of like an Alabama or Florida vibe from the setting of this one, as opposed to New Jersey. But then again, a few of the other ones, they're supposed to be set in New Jersey, also don't really feel like Jersey. But of course, most of these were not filmed in New Jersey. I forgot where Part 5 was filmed, but I know it wasn't New Jersey. Hey, rainbow flag on the wall. Rainbow flag minus the color red. Another bird drawing, kind of similar to the one on the mirror in Vicky's room in Part 2. At least I think that was a bird on hers. Oh, that is not a rainbow. That is something else entirely. What is that devil thing? I always pay close attention to, like, the decor. Like, every time I watch these, I notice new things in the background. This time, it was the fact that is not a rainbow, and there's that, like, weird smiling dude with the mustache. Aww. I'm also a firm believer that Gordon the dog is still alive. He did not die when he went out that window. He did that on his own. He was just like, nope, I'm getting the fuck out. He landed safely. He ran. And then reunited with Tommy and Trish afterward. He absolutely should not have that. That is a perfectly reasonable response to that. See, according to the subtitles, I love that little smirk. According to the subtitles, Reggie just said, yo, man, but I've always heard that as joke, man. Also, he has all of these masks that he's made over the years. Why doesn't he have the stuff that he used to make them? Like, let him be in his halfway house with the stuff that'll, like, feed his mind and keep him busy and active. And part 6 kind of drops the whole mask thing. And I think this is the only time that part 5 even mentions that. Maybe if they did some kind of like Halloween 2018 style, 40 years later kind of thing, Tommy could be like a special effects makeup artist for a major studio or something. With a career in mask making. I love the grandpa. Just typical sweet old man character. I'm glad his death is off screen. I'm not glad that Matt's death was off screen because Matt is kind of built up a bit, especially in the first half hour or so, as being a bigger character and more important than he actually is. And then he just, at around the 50-minute mark, he just vanishes. And then a half hour later or so, they find his body and they focus on it for like 10 seconds. And then it's like, okay, moving on, chase scene continues. These two. Okay, I take back what I said. I think my character ranking would be Violet, and then Ethel, and then Robin and Jake, and then Pam. And they're all crazy. I just love how perfectly unhinged that is. I got a bomb on me. Oh yeah, and there's no lake in this one. This is the first and only Friday the 13th where there is no actual Crystal Lake. Vic is another of the first men in a movie that I ever found attractive. And I love how this guy's just letting the chocolate run down his face. It's like, no, dude, wipe that. Please. First time I noticed the football on the swing. This is another really nice location. don't tell the girls as if he didn't see him over there talking to them. Take a hint. I think you're really out of line. I love that shot. And the funniest thing about this is that by causing the inciting incident, of him killing someone, he sparks the murder spree, but is like the only person who was never put in harm's way. Like, he's never killed. We never see him again. We never hear about him again. But it makes his dad, Joey's dad, flip out and kill like 18 people. But not him. That's pretty gnarly. And aside from that aftermath shot, there's not that much in the way of like graphic, like really gory stuff in this one. Like, a lot of the stuff was trimmed out or reshot. But unlike part 2, part 4, part 6, part 7, part 8, Jason Goes to Hell, we've never gotten any of that footage, like any of those extended kills. Toxic gay couple. And yes, in my head, this is a gay couple. A very, very, like, toxic, unhappy gay couple. And I've known so many couples like this. Like when the other one, when Pete said those cunts aren't gonna wait all night, that he was referring to the drag queens at the event that they were on their way to. A little bit of self-aware humor, that line. Yeah, it's obvious which one's the top, which one's the bottom, because I don't think any self-respecting bottom would go shit in the woods without toilet paper. The bunny. Bunny. There's the bunny. Who needs a cat scare when you can have a rabbit scare? That's not really a scare. But we do get a cat scare later. Pouty. Head's pretty fake looking, but that was still a really cool kill. Love that line. Also the car being green with the blue door. Like, why did he even kill these twinks? What was the purpose of that? Also interesting about this one is that, like, the director, he was, like, pretty porny when it came to a lot of this, but he was not stupid. Like, there's a lot of female nudity in this, but it spends just about as much time focusing on men's shirtless bodies, such as this. Because I'm sure they figured, yeah, women watch these too. Gay men watch these too. But as far as actual nudity is concerned, yeah, no, none of that when it comes to the guys. And I hope Tommy picked up those pills that went flying on the floor, because he's gonna be short before his next refill. That sort of detail always sticks out to me as someone who takes multiple medications. It's like, oh shit, I drop one down the drain. Now I'm gonna have to get my refill a day early. So whenever I'm watching movies and somebody is throwing pills around or they drop some, I'm always like, fuck, you just inconvenienced yourself. Purple cow? I could have done that. I had a Barbie when I was a kid, like 3rd or 4th grade, that I managed to make look like Robin's outfit in this scene. And then years later, like years and years, like at least like 10, 15 years later, I found out that there was actually someone who was making Barbies based on these characters. And I think they had gifted one to Melanie, who plays Pam, at a convention or something. And I thought that that was cool. I was like, awesome. Somebody took the sort of thing that I was doing when I was a kid without ever making a big deal of it or trying to do anything with it, and actually did something with that. so much for any kind of inspirational speech. This ain't easy, just eat. 3 more words, he said. Yeah, that would piss me off. Like, don't go through my shit. Don't move my stuff. Don't take my stuff. Don't play with my stuff without permission. But I don't think I would react this way. I love how Violet is just amused. Itty bitty little pieces, my friend. As far as I'm concerned, every movie needs to have a character like Ethel. Even if they don't do anything with her, even if she doesn't die or serve much of a purpose, we need some kind of an Ethel type character in everything. I love all the plants and herbs and stuff hanging up in the kitchen. And this just might be the most pointless character in the entire fucking franchise. He is in this scene, and then one more scene. We don't know his name. We don't know anything about him. He just pops up for this little bit right here to get a job from Ethel and some food. And then he gets stabbed in the stomach while he's in peeping Tom mode. That's it. Oh, that is so relatable. He looks familiar, but I can't place it. And I love that, like, as if Roy seeming all chipper and everything, and that one look that he gave directly at the camera wasn't enough. They had to linger on him just a little bit as he was closing the door and walking away. But admittedly, the first time I saw this, I did not catch any of that, even though those are so obvious. Like, if you see this as a whodunit, it makes it painfully obvious that it's Roy. But if you're watching this thinking the whole time, oh yeah, this is Jason, it's definitely Jason doing the killing, yeah, I can see why you'd be caught off guard at the end. Girl. Just wiped off one spot and decided, I'm done. No. I would not want to eat there. The first time Coke has been featured in one of these. And I think part 8 is the only other time that cocaine is in one of these. Another great line. Hat line. Feels almost like a bit of a callback to Vicky in part 2 getting ready in the mirror. And just like in part 2, by the time she's finished, love interest dude's gone. Paris Hilton got it from this. Okay, who threw that fucking cat? That looked like it hurt. Aww. I wonder if that Coke is real. Part 7 repeats that cat scare in almost the same way, too. And slasher movies are kind of notorious among people who hate them of being violent and degrading and everything toward women, but an interesting thing about this one is that we are something like 38, 39 minutes in, and only just now are we getting to the first female character death. Like with this one, it's something like 15 men, 7 women, if we include Pam. Seven down. Y'all are getting chicken shit all over your shoes. So is Jason. Hallucination Jason. This fucking guy. So if this does take place around Crystal Lake, the mayor is clueless and dumb because he should already know that there's been something like 45 murders in the area in the past like decade or so. And if it does not take place in Crystal Lake, there is absolutely no reason for Tucker to be assuming that it's Jason. They should have cremated him. Love the delivery of that line. And she's also the second of 3 Tinas in the franchise. And I think there's like... I know there's at least one more Eddie, but I don't think there's a third one. Because parts 4, part 7 also had a Tina, part 7 also has an Eddie, but I don't think there's another one of Eddie's. I would totally wear that shirt that he's wearing. And there goes the pointless guy. That was also one of the fastest sex scenes ever. Ugh. That was a really cool kill. How far did he walk that he was not able to hear that, like, ear-piercing scream? I don't buy that. This kill is also really cool, but there's a bit of a fuck up. At one point, it spins the wrong way. He turns it the wrong way. So that's 3 more, so that brings us up to, what, 10 kills in the first, like, 48 minutes? And this is about to be the last time that we see Matt and the grandpa, so might as well go ahead and count those, so that'll be 12 in a minute. That's a bad idea. Yeah, no, that's not a good idea. Like, yeah, let's take the clearly overstimulated, stressed out, traumatized guy who never speaks out and meet even more new people than he's already had to meet in the past 24 hours. Great idea. It's interesting that in like 10 minutes they repeat that shot a little bit, almost, with Jake and Violet and Robin. I like that he gets a lot more to do in Return of the Living Dead. Does Tommy even get to meet Nita and Demon? I don't think he does. You know, Reggie technically goes through even more than Tommy did in the fourth one, because Reggie doesn't. Tommy lost his mom, but his sister survived, and Tommy didn't really know, like, personally know any of the teenagers or anybody else in the area that had been killed. So he lost his mom, but he lived, his dog lived, and sister lived. But Reggie loses his brother, he loses his grandfather, and he knew most of these people. He had spent time with most of these people. So yeah, if part 4 has Tommy acting like this, I'd hate to see how Reggie would be if he had come back for part 6. That haircut. I love that he quoted Ethel there, which shows that, like, pretty much everything that he says, he's just, like, mimicking. Just absolutely getting his ass handed to him by Tommy. See, Pam, that was a bad idea. That's your fault. I love that there's, like, so many memes about this scene alone. Don't write on walls, and there's writing everywhere. Fadden was here, as in Vic. The end of the world is near. I love that. You're gonna get it, bitch. Also relatable, I will not use an outhouse. Also, this is the third time in the series that a dude's been on the toilet. Like, part 3 had Harold and Chuck both taking a shit. Poor Anita. These two didn't do anything wrong. can still see her neck moving. But I'll forgive it. This is awesome. I've had an injury on that part of my leg, so that is like, no. Yeah, they kind of went hard with that kill. So that makes 14. Because I'm already including Matt and the grandpa, because we don't, they're gone by now. Love her makeup. And she ends up not finding him and not accomplishing anything by leaving these four alone. I love the ridiculously gargantuan pot. What all is she putting in that? Nah, someone else is gonna do that. 15. Nice bit of misdirection, making it seem like he's gonna come at her from behind, but instead... $16. It's nice that all of my favorites make it to the last half hour, though. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is like the 7th stalled vehicle of the series so far. I would be so pissed. Like, at this point, she's probably, like, fuming at Tommy. And this whole sequence is like, this is the part of the movie that feels the most like the first four. Because usually with all of those, there was a lot more build up to the kill streak. But with this film, it's been constant kill streak from the toxic gay couple onward. But like this chunk, it's like 8 minutes of just Robin, Jake, and Violet. And it kind of slows down a bit. It takes its time building to those kills. And that's kind of how it was in the first four, where it's like slowly work their way through the main cast. And this scene is so painfully awkward. It's like every introvert's worst nightmare, like finally working up the courage to make some kind of move and then just getting shot down. And what's worse is she fucking laughs at him. And when I was a kid, it was like, seeing that horrified me more than anything else. It was like, yep, no, I am never telling a girl or anybody else that I have a crush on them because I don't want to feel the way that he felt. And she keeps laughing. That's so bad. I'd storm off too. Yeah, Robin, that was mean. I like how there's just stuff all over all of these walls. Her room's my favorite by far. Does that just say ass at the top? Like, it looks like somebody wrote ass with just an exclamation mark and nothing else. Seeing is believing. Death by sneezing. 17. God, they got pumpkins. They have an orchard. They have chickens. And it's a nice place. I think I'd be okay with taking a break from life for a few weeks and living somewhere like this. It is kind of a bummer that like we don't really get an idea of like why most of these people are even living here, because we don't really get that much time with anybody in this. It's not like Nightmare on Elm Street 3, where we get a pretty good idea of who all of the teenagers are in there. With this, it's like no development there. Damn, that rain is really coming down. Okay, bunks are not that big. She should have noticed, like, right away that there was a whole human being in the bed with her. That's creepy. 18. And this is my favorite scene of the whole movie. Stop the slaughter. I wonder what happened to the footage. Like, it's probably long gone by now, but this kill was originally. It was going to be her doing some kind of, like, aerobics. Or, like, something that had her doing a handstand, and he would have brought the machete down, like, right through her crotch. So, I'm okay with this change. And Robin's kill is interesting because that's a copy of a kill, Jack's kill from the first film and Debbie's from the third. So I kind of wish that part 7 had an up from under the bed kind of thing. Because up until part 7, every odd numbered entry in the franchise had a character getting stabbed from under the bed. Or hammock, in Debbie's case. And there goes my favorite. 19. Scariest moment of the movie. You know, I've seen some people online kind of making fun of Reggie for his screaming and everything, but that is so realistic for a kid. And I love him crashing through the door like that, but yeah, the first time I saw this, I was kind of like, wait, what? Like, why does he look like that? That's not Jason. That's not his mask. Like, if this had been part 4 and we didn't see Jason in part 4, I would still kind of maybe be tricked into thinking maybe that's Jason, but that looks nothing like part 4 Jason. And I didn't mention earlier, but Anita and Demon being killed, that really, really kind of pushes the red herring aspect and makes Tommy suspicious. 20. I don't dislike this chase scene, but it is kind of repetitive, and it's kind of like, wait, where are they even going? Where are they trying? Where are they trying to get? Ow. Aw. There he is. And just not a big deal at all, even though he had kind of been set up for about a half hour of the film as being like one of the main characters. You know, if the dude in that little ambulance had been dead already, which I think he was, because how would Roy have had time to do that? That means that Robin and Violet are the last two that Roy killed. So, yay, my favorites were the last two. Aw, yeah, I'm glad we didn't see that happen. I don't need to see the sweet old man die. I'm glad this had one window throw. Like, this had that window throw, which was a great window throw. It seems like I think just about every film in the whole series has at least one person being thrown through a window, or Jason or someone else crashing through a window. Like, the first one has Brenda. Second one has Jason crashing through it to grab Ginny. The third one has Rick. The fourth one has a lot of window action. Like, Trish breaks a window and jumps out. She jumps out of a second window. Jason grabs Tommy through a window. Jason throws Tina through a window. There's so much window stuff going on in the fourth one. So I'm glad this had a little bit of that at least. It's almost a little bit of like a weird like Star Wars-ness to that bit of music. I think they repeat that line. That like, God, huh? But yeah. Like, did one of those get dubbed in there after, or did she just say it the exact same way twice in a row? Bringing back a barn. Another bit of recycling from something in an earlier entry. It's like the last few minutes of part 3 were in a barn. And this whole ending kind of goes through a lot of the same motions that the first 4 films' endings went through, but it feels a lot more condensed. Like, it feels shorter, and I think it is shorter. I think there's only, like, 8 or 9 minutes of Roy going after Reggie and Pam and Tommy, as opposed to the usual, like, 15 minutes of whoever the final girl is being chased around. You see, mask aside, because that's obviously not the same mask, I would buy this. Like, this, he looks similar to Part Three's Jason. Yeah. See, there it sounds like he says, Pam, give me 5. Very similar to Part 2, but with an actual wound this time. But along with stalled vehicles, we get stalled chainsaws. Yeah, nobody ever really gets to do all that much with a chainsaw in one of these movies, and I think this is the last time we see one. I probably would have done the same thing. I like how that's like a moment of Roy kind of being like, oh, wait, I'm a character. I need to act like Jason. Jason would recognize this kid. But it could also just be him being like, oh, another person I have to kill. Aww. See, I always thought that that was just a noise. That kind of noise, but according to the subtitles, it's someone or something saying remember. Like that, the 3-syllable thing is the word remember. I never, for years and years, got that from this. So, thank God for subtitles. I imagine that is a very, very painful place to get stabbed. The barn's considerably bigger than the Part 3 barn. But I still prefer the Part 3 barn, because the Part 3 barn had some awesome, awesome stuff in it. Like, again, interesting decor. This doesn't really have that. Tommy doing a great job of playing dead. Yeah, see, up close, that looks a lot like Part 3 Jason. Minus the eyes. Should have stayed down. That made me jump the first time I saw this. Is that just an axe handle? What is that? Conveniently placed bed of spikes. And when I first saw this, I was like, that better not be it. But thankfully it's not. And this part here is awesome. Bringing back some of the music from the first film. Very similar to the music when Brenda's body gets thrown through the window at Alice. Ow. Very, very corny, but it works. And 21. Defeated at exactly the 1 hour 23 minute mark. And I'm sure a lot of people in that shot were like, wait, who? What? The reincarnation of the nurse from the fourth one. There he is. He kind of vanished from the movie for a while, too. He was... I think the last time we saw him was, like, right after Billy and Lana got killed. So it's been, like, 40 plus minutes. Why didn't you reconnect with your son? How... Who got that picture? How was that picture taken? Alarm 13. Of course. Very shiny. A dream sequence, keeping with franchise tradition still. And the fourth one does not have a dream sequence, but it was going to have one with the dead mom opening her eyes in the tub and looking very Fulci. That is fucking scary. And looks great, too. Like, that perfectly follows part 3 Jason. That's all, folks. The change in the music is kind of cool, too. Like, instead of, like, the ki ma ma ma, it's like ta ta ta. Usually people wait until after they commit a crime to break the window and escape, but he did it out of order, broke the window first, so that way after killing her, all he had to do was just hop out. And Bob DeSimone's a really cool guy. So yeah, I think he killed her. I think I'm in the camp of, yeah, he killed her and then spent a few more years locked up, and that's why he was in an institution that he escaped from. But part 6 kind of just ignores this entire movie, really. Like, you could skip this. But you shouldn't skip it, because I love this movie. It is in my bottom 3 of the 12. I'm one of the only people on planet Earth who likes the likes of Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X quite a bit more than this one. And yes, I will be doing commentaries on those. But even though it's in my bottom 3, I still love this movie. Part 8 is the only one that I'm ever kind of like blah about watching. It I only really watch part 8 if I'm having a straight through marathon of all 12 movies over the course of a couple days or whatever. But the other 11, well, maybe also not Freddy vs. Jason, but the other 11 I have no problem sitting through on their own. I can put them on whenever. But yeah, the first time I saw this, I had gotten the VHS from Suncoast in the mall, and I was supposed to wait until after school to watch it, but I went across the property from my family's place to my grandma's place, and I put the VHS that my mom had bought me in grandma's player, and I watched it the first like 45, 50 minutes or so of it, up until Tina and Eddie died, I watched it before school. Like, I made sure to wake myself up early so I could watch as much of this as possible, and then I finished it once I got home. But by then I had forgotten about a lot of it, so I just rewound the tape and watched it straight through from the beginning. But yeah, it's a step down from the first four, but it's really entertaining and fast paced, and I never have a problem sitting through it, and I'm glad that you guys were listening and watching it with me, and hopefully you guys like this movie as much as I do. So, until next time.